welcome to my channel. Well, this one, might be a little bit controversial. It might not, but it has to do with knife laws and indirectly with gun laws, because I'm in America and I was born in England and I was stationed in England in the 80s, early 80s. So even though I was born in England, I was only like 6 months old or so when we left. I think I get Dewey up here so he can see. For some reason, he's having a hard time seeing. And don't knock Ted over. He's already got. Maybe he's sleepy. But anyways, like I said, I was only 6 months old when we left England to come back to the United States. But I went back after I joined. I was stationed at RAF Bentwaters Woodbridge, which is now shut down. But I went from, the only time I noticed a lot of restrictions on me and everything is when I went to other countries. Like in the United States, in the military, they restrict what you can have. Like, you can have firearms and everything, but you got to store it in an armory or something, unless you live off base and stuff like that. Or if you're on base housing, I think you can have a weapon. It depends on what it is, nowadays. But back then, it was pretty much, if you were in the barracks and stuff like that, you couldn't have a firearm, in the barracks, but you could have it kept at the armory. Well, when I went to England, man, everything was a lot more restrictive. I didn't know it, but I was probably violating several laws all the time because I had always had a knife with me of some kind, and sometimes I even had nunchucks, which you can't really justify those when you're walking around with nunchucks. But this was back then. Here in the United States, we just finished, here in Texas also, we just finished the 4th of July. So it's a big celebration, and it's always, all across America, it's always a time when guns are pulled out too, usually in violence. And there's always a call for what they call here, common sense gun laws. And to me, this is where it starts getting insidious, because they start saying, well, we need to ban certain types of guns. This is the same thing with knives. It could be applied with knives. We need to ban certain types of knives because the knives themselves, just having them, is so dangerous. Well, with guns, it doesn't matter if it's a little Derringer or it's a rifle. It's still a gun. It's not going to be any different than having a long, knife, or it's still a knife. What separates? Well, when does this become criminal activity? Well, it's whoever's holding this, whoever's welding the object, that's the criminal. Now, in America, we supposedly got this, you're guilty until proven innocent. And it seems like over in England, it's more like, well, I got it backwards. In America, it's you're innocent until proven guilty. But over in England, it seems like you're guilty until proven innocent. Because you're automatically, it seems like, assumed to have criminal intent, unless you've got some valid reason for having. Man, the situation, again, is not with the tool, it's the person behind it. Now, a lot, if you argue this all the way down and you follow a lot of it, like here in America, it's like, okay, let's ban assault rifles and and large capacity magazines. That's what our president's asking for right now. You know what they're going to find out? Assault weapons are not the main ones that are causing the shootings and stuff. Most of the time it's pistols. They say we're not coming after your pistols. Well, of course they are, because they're going to find out that banning assault rifles is not going to stop anything. It's always blame the thing that they're afraid of, instead of focusing on the real issue, and that is it's the attitude or the mental health of the people welding these guns. you know? When I grew up, I was surrounded by all kinds of guns. Shotguns, rifles, handguns, knives. Did I take them to school and wipe out everybody and shoot people, and get into arguments and pull guns out? No! You know why? Because we were afraid of our parents more than we were afraid of the law. Because the law can only deal with you a certain amount of time, and then they got to release you to their parents. Parents back then could do anything, literally, like anything. They could beat you, they could starve you, unless it became really obvious. Man, they could do all kinds of stuff that would be considered abuse. But whatever it was, it didn't warp me, at least, so much that I held a grudge against society. Like, I gotta pay society back for my upbringing. No, my father was pretty harsh, but that's in his time he would have been considered, like a good parent, but in modern times he would have been considered an abusive parent. But it's all in how you and you view things. But getting back towards laws and stuff, the main thing is what makes the difference between an object being a tool and an object being a weapon is when it's used. And one of the things that you should always be able to do is to defend yourself. You should have some means of defending yourself. Unless you're like the world's best boxer or mixed martial artist or whatever, you usually can't defend yourself one-on-one with somebody, even of your same age, and stuff, a lot of times, because people have different age and capabilities. I mean, that's why when Sam Colt came up with that phrase, like something about created equal. Sam Colt really made people equal, because it didn't depend on your stature and size. You could inflict lethal blows on someone no matter what. And the issue, again, is not the people that are carrying these tools. A gun is basically just a tool of self-defense. A knife can be a multi-purpose tool for cutting, or it can be used for self-defense also. You know what kills more people in America than rifles or shotguns? Hands, fists, and feet. So what are we going to do? Once you ban all these other guns, what are we going to do? Cut off people's hands, fists, and feet because some people kill other people with them? It doesn't make any sense. You talk about common sense. If you follow the logic behind all these arguments, you've got to have a logic. What is the outcome? What do you want to do? Reduce the amount of gun violence in America. Well, yeah, you could say that, there's a readily available ability of firearms and stuff. That's just part of freedom, Part of that is, it doesn't mean that you're going to be totally safe. It means that here in America it's supposed to mean that you have the means of protecting yourself in case things are not safe. The police constitutionally do not have a right individually. You don't have a right for them to protect you as an individual. All they got to do is protect society in general. So you can't sue them saying, well, he didn't respond fast enough when the guy was shooting me or punching me or breaking into my house, And the people that are liberal and thinking, like, if a home invasion occurs, I saw one, Colin Noor, he's one of the guys from the NRA and stuff, but he talks about he breaks down the logic behind it. But one woman wouldn't allow her husband to have a firearm because she didn't want any home invaders to be killed if they broke into their house. This is the kind of logic that you're dealing with on some people. It's like, what? First off, I would be married to someone like that. It's like, all right, if you want to be a victim, fine. No way you're going to be able to have the police respond to you quick enough if somebody does a kick door on you or you've been targeted or whatever. And even having a gun might not help you in that situation unless you're prepared for it and it's accessible. But still, that mentality of let's just disarm everyone and we'll be at peace. You know what it did for Britain in World War II? They didn't have enough guns to protect their population. They needed America to send over pistols, rifles, and everything because they got really liberal and decided, hey, we want to be a gunless society. Well, that's fine. If everybody obeys by the laws, that works perfectly fine. But criminals don't think that way. And look at even if you internally have got everything straightened out where you're civilized, your neighbors on your borders, other countries, might not be so civilized. And then what are you going to do? You're going to rely on the professional force that you have, protect you, be it military or police or whatever. If it's a full-scale situation, they're going to need some civilian involvement. And you know what helps best with civilian involvement? People that are used to handling guns and stuff, like farm boys and stuff like that, people that know how to handle guns and know how to use them. You eliminate a lot of the initial stuff, which is training the person how to load and properly carry a firearm and stuff, It just makes sense. That's common sense. The common sense is go after the criminals. When you get somebody for a crime, has committed a violent crime, unless they truly have reformed, don't let them out. Whatever. I don't care about parole and all this good time and other stuff. If they haven't reformed from their criminal behavior, you haven't done anything. You've just delayed them from being in society. And this catch and release type of stuff, that's the worst example you can provide to someone who's not obeying laws to begin with. The big issue is not the vast majority of the population. It's a few nutcases. I don't know what it is. I think it's a lot of it's mental health or the culture, that you're in or whatever. It's your upbringing. What are you, how are you taught with the use of knives and firearms, or hands, fists, and feet, for that matter? How do you respond to situations? I've seen videos. I've been watching police videos and stuff like this, and I see a lot of situations where people could have gotten off with a warning. They could have gotten off with a much lighter sentence, but they escalated by thinking that arguing with the police is the way to go. Like you're going to argue with them and they're going to let you go? You can debate with the police, but if you're in a situation where they pulled you over, you're not going to win arguing with the police. For those of you that don't know that already, the more aggressive you get towards the police, the quicker you're going to be in handcuffs or face down or tased or whatever, Screaming and yelling might work on Jerry Springer. It don't work in real life. But anyway, getting back to laws and everything. Common sense laws, like one of the proposals is universal background checks. If you do a polling of a bunch of different people and everything, most people will agree that universal background checks would be a good thing. But that's not good enough for a lot of people that want more. They want waiting periods. You got to add, this in and everything else, and they want all this other stuff. When the universal background thing was signed into law, the agreement was that it was going to be online and it could happen right away, and there wasn't going to be any delay or anything else. And then I watched what happened when the pandemic hit, and a lot of people were fearful. They realized they were on their own. They couldn't have things were crazy. Things get crazy in America, but things were getting really crazy here. And I had a buddy who wanted to buy a firearm. He's not a felon or anything like that. So I went with him to another town, Waxahachie, to look at their gun store and everything, help him pick out a gun. And he had a Taurus 9mm that he wanted to buy. And I said, yeah, that's a pretty good gun and everything. And he went to get it. He went to do the background check and everything. And they said that because of the situation, this was you couldn't get ammo, you couldn't get guns. You know, like you've got to have it on you. You've already got to have it on you when you need it, rather than waiting for a pandemic to do stuff. It took a month before he was approved. They said, you know, because of the database and everything else. Now, what good does that do if you really need a gun for self-defense? Like, your houses down the street are getting broken into, you've got kids, you know, you're legally allowed to have a firearm to protect yourself, and you go to buy one, and because of the these gun control things that were put in there, common sense, now you can't get your gun because they can't tell whether or not you're a felon or not because of a breakdown in the process. Well, there was a breakdown in a lot of the process going on at that time. There was a lot. Luckily, he didn't get in the situation. He eventually got it, and he hasn't used it in self-defense or anything like that. But that just goes to show to, you know, that agreeing to more restrictions on your rights usually leads to more restrictions on your rights afterwards. The people that want to take away your right to protect yourself are not going to be happy until you're completely like a sheep, until you're completely defenseless. If anything happens, you call the police, you scream, you blow your little whistle, whatever you do, you turn on your panic button. But God forbid you try to protect yourself, because then you might hurt a criminal who, if you think about it in their mind, he's just doing his job, breaking into your house and stealing everything, and, you know, attacking your family and killing people. That's just their job, and you're interfering with their livelihood. No. You should lose all these rights when you start violating other people's rights, you know? Like, hey, that was for the rest of society. Once you've been proven to be the person that's breaking into these doors, you don't have a bunch of rights. You don't have a right to keep on doing what you were doing if it involves terminating my life or stealing my property or anything else you intended to do with me or anybody else that was in my dwelling. Sorry, no. And no matter what law that they pass in the future or whatever, I'm never going to get beyond the belief that I have the ability to defend myself. As an old man, if I'm walking down the street with a cane, and that's all I got, and somebody, you know, goes to rob me or hassle me, they're going to find out what I can do with that cane. You know, hopefully I'll be able to use it against them. I don't need it for balance. Maybe I got a cold steel sword cane. Who knows? Surprise! Yeah, because you don't have that right as a criminal. You don't have the right to be a criminal, all right? If you want to exist in society, you can't swim with the rest of the fish. You're isolated, all right? Can't change your ways. We're going to have to separate you from the rest of the population, one way or another. And as a human being, you have this right to defend yourself. I don't care where you are in what country or what planet, whatever laws they've got, you've got a right to defend yourself. And if you use any tool to defend yourself because someone was doing something illegal to you, you shouldn't be prosecuted for using the blade was too long on that knife. You shouldn't have been carrying that. You should have been carrying your whistle and panic button and pepper spray. The criminal, after all, was, you know, just no. We're not going to follow your logic. But these people somehow have gotten into power and are able to influence the rest of the population. So here in America, the way you do that is you're supposed to be able to vote in, you know, politicians that think the way you do and supposedly want to, you know, pass these stupid laws. That doesn't always work. But anyway, that's my rant on self-defense with knives and everything else. I know YouTube, you know, like and a lot of these other social medias, man, they don't want to, you know, promote. You know, you can't say certain phrase words and you can't do all this other stuff. Or it's controversial. You know, they want you to self-regulate your speech because it's dangerous. See, now speech is dangerous. We got to regulate what you talk about, because not only are certain types of knives and everything dangerous, certain words are dangerous, and certain things you're talking about that don't agree with the party line. How is this America? How I don't understand how we change just because of some medical emergency that occurred. That all of a sudden we've given up our ability to be able to talk controversial about it. Like, hey, what if I don't agree with all these mandates and stuff that you've got going on? You're not allowed to express that opinion. You're only allowed to express what we have. Here's these agencies that we say that, and you've got to say what these agencies say, or you're going to get a strike, or going to take your crap down, or whatever. Like censorship, propaganda, lies. What? The world has definitely changed from when I grew up, and I mean, I would expect this in a communist country. A lot of the stuff that I've seen, I would expect something like this out of a old style Soviet Russia. Really, you know. The only thing we missed, and they were trying to do it, was like a KGB, like a network of spies ratting on each other. He's not wearing his mask. That person didn't wash his hands. Can I report him? Is there somebody I can report him for? Meanwhile, the people that passed all these stupid rules are not obeying them. They're having parties. They're going out doing everything. They're having a good old time. Because it doesn't apply to them. They're different. This is for the peons. You see that? You see how you've been separated from the people you elect to supposedly represent you? Now they're above you. You know, they don't elect you. They're trying to rule you. And here in America, it shouldn't be that way. We don't want a king. We want somebody to represent us as a president. We don't want someone up there spitting out dictates and mandates. You can do whatever the population says to do, not what you think is your best idea. If you think banning assault weapons is going to stop everything, and it doesn't, because like I said, it's not going to stop the situation, and you're just denying other people the right to defend themselves. So that's my rant on it. I've probably gone a little too long with this because it's 22 minutes and I can't speed it up, but that's my thoughts on it. I think that it's stupid, that we should be going after not the tools but the people that are the cause of the problem. I mean, there's your common sense laws right there. There's your common sense laws. When you have a disease, what do? Start lobbing off arms and legs and stuff until the symptoms go away? Look, we fixed it. I can't walk anymore. Yeah, but you had a problem, which we later found out was in your big toe. But, we had to remove all of them because we started off with the other side, and then, But now you're fixed. Don't worry. You won't have to worry about that problem in your big toe anymore because you don't have one. Yeah. Take away everyone's freedom because some people don't know how to act. That's always a good idea. Not to me, And you may disagree. Go ahead, thumbs down or whatever if you want. Disagree all you want. Say that we should be sheep. You go ahead and be sheep if you want to. That's fine. But when the wolves come and start attacking you, don't be banned from help from me because you chose your path. You want to be sheep. You want other people to be responsible for your safety and your protection. All right, fine. Good luck with that, especially in this world nowadays. Good luck with that. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a nice day.